Welcome, my friend, to Next Level Change Success. I'm Therese, a change strategist and practitioner with over 20 years of experience designing and delivering impactful change programs across various industries. In this podcast, I share real-world practical strategies to help you create and deliver positive change experiences, whether you're a leader, practitioner, or someone looking to bring new ways of working to life. In today's fast-paced world, change is constant. Here we focus on how you can put people at the centre of your change strategy, because people with a sense of purpose are the most important link in driving performance. So if you're ready to create meaningful change and achieve all the success that comes with it, keep listening. Together, let's change the conversation and take it to the next level. Hello. Welcome to another episode of Next Level Change Success. My name is Therese, and I'm the founder of myvirtualchangemanager.com. I'd like to acknowledge that I'm recording on Tharawal country and pay my respects to the traditional owners and custodians on the land on which I'm recording, and to elders both past, present, and emerging. So today's episode is all about the change crisis. And if you're finding in your organization or even in your team that there is what you would call change fatigue, change frustration, change conflict, and it seems like the leaders are struggling to manage change, then I'm going to help you, hopefully, and run through some key attention areas and focus areas so that you can manage change better, that there's more visibility of change, and transparency accounts for a lot. And transparency in organizations or even teams around change coming up, what's happening across the organization, how it affects the people in your team or the department or the division. As when you have that transparency, you can better handle change. You become more aware of it, you can prepare for it, you can navigate it far better than when it just seems like you're constantly getting sideswiped with change. So let's go through the first area of focus, which is transparency. And that is capturing the change and the projects that are happening, whether it's in a formal project environment or whether it's planned change or things that the leaders in the organization are spinning up, continuous improvement programs. It can often go a little bit unseen in the business as usual environment because people don't realize that even improvements, changes to forms, changes to processes cut across different business areas. It is change. So anytime that you are talking about an improvement to a process, introducing something new, that is change. And being able to capture what goals your team have, what projects you may be running, whether they be small, big, medium size, they all need to be captured. And it's one of the first things that if I'm in an organization or coming into an organization, it's one of the first key artifacts or first key things I ask about what is happening across the organization. Is there a summary of the projects taking place? And if there isn't, it is absolutely worth its weight in gold to ask everyone to put down the projects that they're working on across an organization or even within your team. That allows you to start to quantify the level of change. One of the key milestones, of course, when looking at these projects is when is it going to go live? When is it going to be introduced? And a very simple exercise of lining up those go live dates to your business cycles is going to give you an idea as to capacity for change. Do they line up? Are there too many happening all at once? Is there something where you can stagger those go lives, or is there something that needs to be factored in regarding how much of a lead time you are getting from a change perspective to engage everyone and to support them through that change? I always say sometimes it's not a question of is there too much happening at once. A little bit of it is, are we ready for it? Are we fully engaged? Are we prepared? And if there are particular teams who are inundated with change at one time, that's not necessarily a concern if they're informed about it, if they understand where it all fits in, and they're understanding that they have the support that they need. However, oftentimes that's not the case, which is why having too many things happen at once does not help those people who are impacted. So we start off with transparency. That's really, really important. Through that transparency, you can talk about whether you need to slow down certain changes. Oftentimes it does mean through that transparency that you're stopping some projects because sometimes there's duplication. Oftentimes there is. If you haven't had that transparency before, there typically is a culture of silo going on where people would prefer to stay in their siloed ways of working and not engage other teams, which is causing consternation. As you build transparency, some areas won't like that because they're used to and are quite attached to that autonomy, being able to do their own thing when they want to. And so just be aware of sometimes it can clash with culture when you bring the transparency up, and sometimes that can bring the culture and behavioural conversation to the fore regarding those who want to work together and those who don't, because certainly from a change perspective, and oftentimes if you've got an organisation or a team who's in change crisis, it's because they're not connected, they're not working together, they're not across what each other's doing, nor are they across what's happening across the organisation. And sometimes it's people's preference to work that way, and you really do need to start to break that down. Then when you're lining up your change delivery with the business and the business cycles, and as you're deploying change, the important thing is to learn. So yes, bringing a change framework in helps. Certainly developing the change intelligence with your leaders and decision makers is critical. And what I mean by the change intelligence, we have a framework at myvirtualchangemanager.com. We talk about change intelligence and the various areas of that as skill sets and capabilities that you develop that then enhances the leadership skill when it comes to change, when it comes to creating and managing strategic change, and certainly when it comes to change capacity. Because leaders who display these capabilities that are related to change intelligence are able to connect the dots. They're able to communicate effectively. They're able to assess impacts fast and well, and learn as change is being deployed across the organisation around what works well, what doesn't work well, and what structures need to be put into place for change to be successfully embedded in future. Sometimes capacity and the capacity constraint could be because of an outside force that you're having to respond to from an organisation, and that taking the airtime, that taking the focus and derailing some change that you're looking to bring in at the same time. For example, I've often had it in a lot of organisations where there's a restructure taking place. Now, during that time, to connect the dots from a change intelligence perspective, if you have people going through fundamental job changes at the same time as you trying to deploy change and implement projects and programs, they will always slow down at times when you're restructuring, because all of a sudden you get job uncertainty. All of a sudden you have new people in seats who have been brought into the organisation for good reason, but it does mean they need to be onboarded appropriately and then be brought into conversations that they're not familiar in. Decision makers at that time, if you have changes in leadership in various teams, that's going to slow the project and change process down. And so you need to factor that in. There is an absolute fundamental destabilization of organizations who go through structural changes. It slows down the ability of the organization to introduce change if that's not an outsourced function that's happening. So making those links and developing that change intelligence and change capability is one of those steps to bring your organization back from change crisis into change control. And I do want to say that there's not many times that I would actually use the term change control. A lot of the time we facilitate change, but the reason why I'm saying it is because change crisis means it's out of control. And so I would never really want to continue to assert change and control in the same sentence, because oftentimes that's just not even possible or not the case. So developing change intelligence is really, really critical to bring your organisation back from the change crisis mode that it might be in, which is indicated by reactiveness. It'll be indicated by low engagement scores, high ratings regarding working in silos. When you're talking to staff, there'll be possible conflict, HR issues that all crop up as a result of an organisation in change crisis. And some might say that's a cultural crisis. Yes, it can be symptomatic of a culture that's heading down the wrong path. But certainly from a change perspective, being able to bring change adaptability into an organization's DNA is how you bring the organization or team back from the brink of a change crisis. And when doing that, of course, and if you're looking at to address the core culture of an organization, you want to do that consciously. You want to bring change adaptability into the core values of the organization, and then invest in the right capabilities, skill sets, and then invest in the right capability and skill sets for not just your leaders, but your people, making sure that all change is transparent in the organization. You're bringing in change governance, which is really important as well, which is talking about the layers of the organization who make decisions about whether change can be introduced, or, as I mentioned, moving those milestones. That can sit in line nicely with operational governance and strategic governance in your organization if those frameworks exist. If they don't, well, that's something else that we want to introduce, so that decision-making and decision-making forums are clear, that the governance around it and the power centers are where they should be appropriately regarding change. And that's all part of the structure which enables change adaptability within your organization, which is where you want to get to if you're in a crisis at the moment and sitting in reactive. You want to get to a responsive, change adaptable mindset, governance structure to help facilitate change well in your organization. So a lot of different areas I just covered there, but I hope that this is helping. If you are in a change crisis in your organization, then come to myvirtualchangemanager.com. We have some tools. We have definitely some enterprise change plans and structures that we can support with. So come along, sign up to the newsletter. Let's have the conversation, reach out, and definitely just remember that change matters, because you, your people, your team, your organization, and your purpose, they all matter. Have a great day.